What up, what up, what up? Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We're about to get into some of this ATS, this American Trucker. Let's see. Make sure I got everything on here. All right, we good. Let's go. Let's go. Let me see.
And now they're even more motivated to give Lil Durk 100 years. After Lil Durk is cooked, bro. The feds trying to give Lil Durk 100 years, man. And now they're even more motivated to give Lil Durk 100 years after the week that Lil Durk done had. Lil Durk and his attorney has been playing offense this week. They've been going directly at the federal prosecutors and mistakes they've made in the Lil Durk trial. They filed a motion to dismiss the case. They're going doing podcasts and interviews, commenting on Twitter, and explaining why Lil Durk should be free. Federal prosecutors used an edited clip of a Lil Durk music video to indict him. In that clip, it was edited to make it seem like Lil Durk was confessing to Quanah Ronald's murder when that wasn't the case. But the federal prosecutors have admitted that this was a minute mistake. It can be changed. It can be fixed. Durk and them is saying, nah, bro, release him from prison. Y'all use this to indict him. So federal prosecutors don't really like to look like fools. They don't really like to acknowledge mistakes. So the fact that Durk and them is rubbing it in their face has motivated them to provide more information on Lil Durk in separate cases that they got pending against Lil Durk, to really send a message that, yo, we're not playing around here. We're not fooling around. We got more ammo on Lil Durk. And we're going to talk about never before seen ammo and documents and cases that they got coming on Lil Durk in this video. But before we get to that, here is the interview that Lil Durk lawyer did that the federal prosecutors are very upset at.
There was an indictment that did not name him, right? It named others, and then there was an unindicted person. And then 3 weeks later, that indictment was what's called the first superseding indictment, and it does name him. The indictment was identical, except the unnamed person now became Dirk Banks. And this is the really important part, Ak. The second indictment, what's called the first superseding indictment, only had one new fact. It had one new fact, and that was it alleged that there was a video by Durk that celebrated and monetized this killing, okay? And so that was the only fact. That was the only thing that distinguished. So
the first indictment dropped and Lil Durk was unnamed. He wasn't a defendant. That's because the feds didn't believe they had enough to successfully charge Lil Durk with a crime. So they just listed him as one of the co-conspirators. He was unnamed though. Their plan was to wait it out, wait a couple months, probably catch Lil Durk in something, and then get him booked once all their ducks are in a row. However, their plans were spoiled because after they arrested the co-conspirators, they realized that Lil Durk was hopping on a plane to go to Dubai. So they wrote up an emergency federal complaint with a judge, got it approved, and they put Lil Durk in jail as they await to indict him. So now, when they finally had enough to quote-unquote indict Lil Durk, the only difference from the complaint that they felt did not have enough to indict Lil Durk and the official indictment was the edited music video where they claimed Lil Durk confessed to this murder. That music video was fan created and it was edited.
If the government says, oh, it's no big deal, no harm, no foul, that's not true, because that's the one thing they added when they threw Dirk Banks into the indictment. And as soon as we got the indictment, we noticed and we started hearing from people in the music world. People are like, this doesn't really make sense. That song, those lyrics were done a long time before that. I mean, we were hearing it from all different directions. We were hearing it from studio people. We were hearing it from people that wear suits to work every day, executives.
Exactly, yep.
And so we were like, we got to get to work here. We got to figure this out. And so at the detention hearing, okay, we had this first detention hearing in December of 24. We go to the court and we say, first, this issue of leaving the country, it was all presented incorrectly.
Federal prosecutors hate owning up to mistakes. And you know what they hate more than owning up to mistakes? The world knowing they made a mistake. The world thinking they are a fool. So you know what they did, bruh? After this interview got aired, after he did the Vlad TV interview as well, after he went to other platforms to speak on how federal prosecutors are fools and this big mistake they made and how dumb they are, the federal prosecutors did a full-on press on Lil Durk. They announced they're indicting Lil Durk on another charge. On May 1st, 2025, the grand jury returned a second superseding indictment charging defendant Banks and his co-conspirators with crimes arising from the August 2022 murder of SR, which is Lil Pop, including an additional charge of stalking resulting in death. Defendant Banks has presented a false narrative that he is being prosecuted and detained because of his violent lyrics. This claim is and has always been baseless. The SSI contains no allegations about defendant's lyrics. Instead, just like every iteration of the indictment before it, the SSI contains significant allegations that shows defendant's alleged role in the execution-style murder of SR on a busy street corner in Los Angeles. These allegations and the other evidence the court considered during defendant's December 2024 detention hearing leave no doubt that defendant is an ongoing danger to witness and the community and a flight risk. He should remain detained pending trial. The prosecutor's not even hiding it, bro. This was a direct response to Lil Durk's attorney trying to expose him. Because the charge is irrelevant, bro. If Lil Durk gets convicted of stalking that results in death, then he's probably gonna get convicted of conspiracy that resulted in death as well. It's similar charges, homie. Like, stalking is just more specific. So this was really not needed, but they made sure to go back and get another charge in the superseding indictment on May 1st. You know why? Well, yeah, on May 1st. You know why? Because they're proving, hey, bro, we can get this indictment without the lyrics. We went back and got them to indict Lil Durk on stalking that resulted in murder without the violent lyrics. So how can you say this case is based on violent lyrics? Which, this is a change, because if the violent lyrics were not important, they wouldn't have included it all throughout the first indictment. It's silly. Now, they didn't just stop here. And here's why I say Lil Durk is cooked. So there was a sealed paperwork regarding Lil Durk for about the last 4 or 5 months, right? But we knew it was coming. And that was the indictment or the paperwork regarding the murder of Stephen Mack. The guy on your left is Anthony Montgomery. The guy on your right is Preston Powell. These two dudes were responsible for the death of the Smashville GD leader, Stephen Mack. Stephen Mack, who you see on your left right here, was leaving a Stop the Violence meeting at a youth center when he was gunned down and killed. Think about the trauma that this caused for the kids.
Think about how ironic that is.
These kids are seeing this dude who is like a leader in their community, who's trying to push for peace, and they look outside and he's getting gunned down. They're like, hold on, bro. Like, this pushing peace is ridiculous. The feds is putting this murder on Lil Durk too. He's listed in the arrest warrant, he's listed in the complaints. He just hasn't been officially indicted yet. But if you read the original Lil Durk indictment, the feds made it perfectly clear. They are investigating Lil Durk for this murder, and they plan on charging him with this murder as well. But the feds will put this out, coincidentally, after Lil Durk had the week he had blasting the feds for getting something wrong. Now, what the feds will claim is after Lil Durk's brother D-Thing was murdered, Lil Durk became bloodthirsty. He put a bag on any and every GD in Chicago's head. He wanted them gone. According to an informant, at the time that Stephen Mack passed away, he was the respected leader of the Smashville GDs. So this was the perfect candidate to send a message to the city after Lil Durk's brother D-Thing got killed. This right here is the suspected killer of Lil Durk's brother D-Thing. Now you're probably asking yourself, Flacco, why don't Durk just get him? He's currently in jail for a double homicide, bro. All right, so even if Durk wanted to, he can't. Feds will claim that Lil Durk got Stephen Mack hit, not only because Stephen Mack was a GD, but Stephen Mack was also really close with the alleged killer. So CHS-1 has reported that Lil Durk was and still is offering money for people to kill those responsible for his brother's murder, and more specifically, offering to pay money for any GD that is killed. CHS-1 has also indicated that D-Thing was killed by members of Dumb Street. According to CHS-1, Dumb Street is a GD faction on the south side of Chicago. According to CHS-1, Dumb Street member Individual A was a close associate of Mac. According to law enforcement records, Individual A is currently in pre-trial custody for allegedly committing a double murder that took place at a country club Hills, Illinois. And yeah, that's the dude that we just showed you. Lil Durk hasn't been charged with this Stephen Mack murder, obviously, because they don't have enough to charge him. But what exactly do they have, and what's keeping them motivated to further this investigation to try to tie Lil Durk to this? So after Montgomery and Powell murdered Stephen Mack, Powell was not really connected to Durk. Montgomery was the one that had the OTF and Durk connection. So Powell trying to get paid, he trying to get his money. So Powell's texting Montgomery, bro, what's up with OTF? And Montgomery responded back, nothing, right? Because why you texting me this, bro? All right? So
yeah, like for real. Why would you text me that?
Montgomery texted back, we waiting. He come up here on the 17th. Durk had a show on the 17th, and he also filmed a music video on the 17th. The 17th came. Powell texted, stand on that. Why you with Durk now? So he's saying, bruh, if we ain't get paid, why you with Durk now? All right? So then he texted him again.
Fuck my damn truck up, nigga.
Did Durk gave you that money? Montgomery is a slimy dude, and he did Powell dirty, and we're gonna break that down shortly. But texting about compensation for an open murder ain't the dumbest thing these two dudes did, bruh. Yo, I'm not sure if Lil Durk employed these dudes directly or if the bag was just up there and they went ahead and got it done themselves. But these two dudes are the dumbest criminals I've ever seen. Maybe not Powell. Montgomery is the dumbest. So Montgomery and Powell waited in the parking lot in their black Chrysler, waited for Stephen Mack to walk out, walk past him to go to his vehicle. Once his back is turned, they hopped out and killed him. So after they killed him, they have a vehicle parked, by the way, right? They hopped out the vehicle to do it. The vehicle is parked. These two dudes left the vehicle parked, panicked, and ran off after committing a murder. Not drive off, ran off on foot. Once they got a few blocks down the way, right, they got away. Montgomery realized he left his phone in the vehicle that they hopped out of to commit the murder. The
dumbass
vehicle
niggas
on surveillance of y'all hopping out and committing a murder, and you left your phone in the vehicle, and it gets dumber. Okay, so Montgomery thought that he was doing some type of 4D chess move, because 45 minutes after the murder, he called AT&T to report his phone stolen. Yeah, okay, buddy. All right. His phone was in the vehicle because it was stolen. Man, cut it out, bruh. You would think this was a Lil Durk indictment because they brought a gang expert to testify that Lil Durk was confessing to the murder of Stephen Mack in the Aha song. Yo, bro, this Aha song got Lil Durk in a lot of trouble, bruh. Because this Aha song,
that's my shit too, I ain't gonna lie.
Also mentioned in Quadrado's indictment.
Don't respond
so
to shit
say,
with
over
Vine.
About February 22nd, 2022, Lil Durk released a song titled Aha after Stephen Mack was murdered. Now, the gang expert says that they believe the lyrics to this song can reasonably be interpreted to be references to Lil Durk having people killed. For example, in one portion of Aha, Lil Durk rapped, "We be sliding through they blocks, they don't know we have. Buddy, I got shot, and we ain't claim it, but I can show his eyes." Yeah. Now, based on a gang expert's training, he would say, based on my training and experience and knowledge of this investigation, I believe that these lyrics can reasonably be interpreted to be a reference to Mack's murder. After Mack was murdered, an unknown individual recorded YPC's, which was the youth center, surveillance video of the murder on what appears to have been a separate video recording device, possibly a cell phone, and they distributed the video to a lot of people, including Durk. Here's the filming of the music video. And you know who was in that music video? You know who Lil Durk put
the nigga that did the fucking killer, bro. What the fuck?
He put Anthony Montgomery, the alleged killer of Stephen Mack. And you see Lil Durk circled in the middle, and Montgomery is circled on your left. So you got lyrics that are expected or suspected to be about Stephen Mack, and then you have Stephen Mack Killer in the video. Derek, this is self-snitching at levels I ain't never seen before, bro. You gotta relax. But the self-snitching don't stop here. No. You know they gotta make it easy for the feds, bro. Anthony Montgomery, the suspected killer of Stephen Mack, he posted to his Facebook story. He posted a huge amount of money. Now, he don't have a job, he don't have a business, so where did he get this huge amount of money from? Well, the fans have an idea, because when he posted a picture with a huge amount of money, he had a song playing and lyrics appearing on the screen. Now, when you make a Facebook story, you actually choose what part of the song you want to appear on your screen. Anthony Montgomery chose those specific lyrics. We be sliding through the block and they don't know we have. So the killer that was in
That's the best part of the song.
The lyric.
My wife a girl and she sang that part.
That they believe is related to Stephen Mack. The suspected killer went from being in the music video to going to social media, posting a picture of himself holding up a lot of cash with the Lil Durk Aha playing in the background and those specific lyrics appearing on the screen. Boy, y'all gotta stop making it this easy for them folks, bro. Whole time Preston Powwow is waiting to get paid. Anthony Montgomery got paid and he stopped answering Preston Powwow calls, man. He ghosted him.
So now Preston probably about to snitch.
Powwow, bro, you caught a body for the free ski because you think you about to get paid, and then your co-defendant, who is linked to the people who try to pay, bro, he got the bread and he ghosted you, bro. And you see him on Facebook flexing, bro. I'll be real, bro. This damn near caused a war, homie. Now, they have a lot, but they don't have enough. They don't have the smoking gun to indict Lil Durk for this. But they have expressed their intentions. They intend on charging Lil Durk with this, right? Come hell or high water. So this is just, this is crazy. And let me know in the comment section, man. Do y'all believe that Lil Durk was involved in this? Do y'all believe this is fair? Do y'all think Lil Durk is ever gonna see a daylight again, man? Let me know in the comment section, okay? And if you're still watching,
we got 8 more hours on this trip.
I'm gonna find out how Jim Jones got extra
451 miles.
Well, after exposing himself mid-interview. I'm gonna see you guys in this video somewhere on my screen. I'm out of here, folks. Peace.
Oh shit.
Hello everyone, Maven here. Now, from 2001 through 2005, I was a WWE wrestler. Just like any place of employment, there's always gonna be people that don't like you for whatever reason. Now, I'm doing this
All right,
video
I'm about to do
because
some
you
illegal
guys
shit.
have asked for it. You guys have said that in my rating videos, I was too nice to people. So today I'm gonna give you a video on guys that didn't like me when I got to the WWE and why they didn't like me.
All right, this is highly illegal,
Let's get into
y'all.
it. The man of 1,000 holds, Dean Malenko. Now, on this list, most of the guys are going to be actual wrestlers. Well, Dean, during my time there, was an agent. An agent is most of the time it's a former wrestler, somebody that's got a pretty good pedigree in the business. It's the agent's job to help
Yeah, that was
you put
illegal as hell,
your
but hey.
match together. Dean would always throw
We had to get it
snide
done.
comments, and anytime he had to work one of my matches as an agent, while we were going over stuff, he let me know exactly how he felt about me. He kind of crossed the line a little bit and went into the hateful. Dean, I don't think enjoyed working with someone who was so green, was very limited in the ring. I remember when I turned and I changed from babyface, good guy, to heel, bad guy. I had my very first house show and I was working Shelton Benjamin. I had no clue what I was doing. I was going out there, I was working. When I say he shit all over it, I mean, he just let me have it. I could care less what anyone thinks of me. I don't live my life to please anybody. But there's a way to offer positive feedback and constructive criticism. I just didn't feel like he was doing it. He made it known he did not like me, and he made it known that he did not want to work with me. Dean is a guy I'll probably never see again. I'm sure he's fine with it. I know I am. Okay, next on the list, test Andrew Martin. Test was one of those guys as soon as I got there with the Tough Enough thing, obviously hated it. Test was slated to be in WrestleMania 18. Now, I don't know if he was going to wrestle Goldust like I did, but 3 to 4 weeks before WrestleMania 18, they switched that over and they informed me that I would then be in WrestleMania 18. So what did that mean? That meant I was taking a very good payday away from him, and he was not happy about it, and I completely understand. Over time, our relationship developed. He and I would work together. We get a lot of questions on this channel. You know, what do you call guys, you know, backstage? You know, what do you call them by their gimmick names? You call them by their real names. I always called him Test, and I knew I'd won him over when he corrected me one day and he told me to call him Andrew. And I don't know why, but that was my way of knowing. You know, we had transitioned from just being, you know, forced co-workers to, you know, to friends. When I moved to Tampa in 2008, he was living in Channelside, and you know, I let him know I was going to be moving there, and he immediately said, "Yeah, Mave, as soon as you get here, let's hang out." So I was there for a day or two, and you know, me and Tess were you know, hanging out, and he told me, he said, "Mave, when I first met you, I hated you." I still have his number in my phone to this day. I miss him. Next on the list, my Tough Enough rival, Chris Harvard, Chris Nowinski. Now, I wouldn't say that it was a personal hate. It wasn't. We were competitors. Chris and I immediately bumped heads, but that's what's going to happen. A-type personalities, they're going to butt heads. And we probably were, I would say, frenemies during our time on Tough Enough, but that's because we both wanted the same thing. I do remember he got under my skin one time on Tough Enough. He told me that I wasn't a good athlete.
I've known defensive ends that were twice the athlete you are that had 5 of them.
See, that's the thing is you don't know how good of an athlete I am. You don't have the slightest clue how good of an athlete I am.
Not a little.
You don't have a clue. You don't come close to having a clue.
23, 24-year-old me, that was about as bad of a knife in the back as you could give me, because up until that point, my whole life had been athletics. So when he said that to me, it dug in, and it affected me a whole lot more than it would 46-year-old Maven. Now I'd probably be like, yeah, you're right. What we didn't know while we were in Tough Enough was they were going to immediately give anybody a job that still wanted to pursue this career. Immediately, all that competitive juice was under the rug. We wrestled several times, wrestled at some live events. We wrestled at, even on Raw and SmackDown.
Bitch, why the fuck would you do that?
By that time, we both were kind of, where we both wanted to be. So there was no need for, bad blood. And at that point, who really cared who won Tough Enough? But in the end, Chris, I still won. Now, next on the list is another guy we've done before in the ratings video. We're talking about Bob Holly. Bob treated me like everyone in the locker room. Bob hated everybody until you earned his respect. Bob is hard to gain his respect. Why? Because he demands perfection. We were, going out there and, having our match, and I would come back every night and immediately ask him, how was it? How was it? Was it okay for you? And one night he just laid into me, and he just was so irate and angry with me. And it was because I wasn't clotheslining him hard enough. He was literally mad I wasn't hitting him hard enough. So you bet the next night and the next subsequent nights after that, I made sure to hit him as hard as I could in safe places. And going back, and talking about the match backstage, like all wrestlers do, he immediately grabbed me and hugged me, embraced me, and was hitting me on the back, telling me that's what I was talking about. Bob was the testing ground for a lot of guys in the WWE, and if you got through him, some did, some didn't. But once you got through Bob, he would greet you with a smile rather than a scowl. Next on the list, it's, and I'm gonna preface this. It's a guy that I know he's battled some illness, so I'm not gonna go into this guy hard, but I have to be honest. This guy didn't like me, but know this.
This shit gonna set me
I
back.
wish absolutely nothing but health and well-being for this guy. I'm talking about Perry Saturn. Perry came in with Dean Malenko, so they were of that, generation. He was just one of the guys that I was never able to win over, no matter what. He would shake my hand, and that would be the end of it. But I understand why. Perry saw guys like me coming into the business, as somebody that didn't earn it. Perry wasn't wrong. I came in an easier way than he was comfortable with, and he had the right to believe that. He had the right to have those feelings. I'm just upset that we were never really able to, to get beyond that. I hope that your health is good, and hey, I'm here for you if you ever need anything that I can help you with. Next on the list, Rob Conway. Rob made this list for one reason, and that was my developmental territory career. After I won
Y'all
Tough
fuck with
Enough,
wrestling?
I wrestled
Wrestling was
on,
my shit growing up.
SmackDown 3 times, and then they sent me to developmental. Before you see a finished product on Raw, SmackDown, or one of the multitude of pay-per-views, guys do what's called a developmental program. For me, I went to HWA, Heartland Wrestling Association, and at the time it was in Cincinnati. A short 2-mile trip down that road was OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling. That was another developmental program. That's where Rob was. I had to first go to OVW to meet up with the guys that I would be in HWA with, because OVW is where we would film our weekly television show. And all the guys from OVW were there to watch the HWA guys. And I remember Rob just stared me down, and he knew how I got into the business, and I don't think he appreciated it for what it was. Why? Because Rob cut his teeth, man. Rob spent his time, just grinding, trying to make it in the world of professional wrestling. Rob was one of those guys that would shake my hand every time I saw him, but nothing would follow. As weeks became months, months became years, and as Rob and I would work together, I think he started to see, the respect that not only I had for him, but the respect that I had for the business as a whole. Those matches we would have would turn into learning moments that Rob would help me out with. He would help me become a better wrestler. And then we would naturally start talking about stuff outside the ring. That's when I knew that we had went from co-workers to a working friendship, and I appreciated Rob. I appreciate him to this day still. Next on the list, you're gonna know, and you're gonna love this guy. I do even. I'm talking about badass Billy Gunn. Billy was tasked with having to work with me early on in my career. We were doing a lot of tag matches together, and I probably brought his work down. And I get it. I was the rookie. Billy was the vet. If we were going to put bad matches, out there for the agents to see, I wasn't going to be the one that gets the heat for it. Billy was. I completely understand why he might not have been looking forward to getting to the show, seeing a run sheet and seeing my name beside it. Billy was just a guy that as soon as I, got there, I would see him, and it was a handshake, and that was it. Unless we were working, there was no conversation. That would change over time. We were in a match, and Billy goes to put me in a suplex, and he's sitting there and he's working the crowd and everything, and I was the babyface at the time, the good guy. Now, a babyface has to always be showing fight. A babyface can't just die. A babyface has to be somebody that the crowd can get behind because they have heart. While Billy was getting heat and he had me in a move getting ready to give me a suplex, he spent probably a couple more seconds than he needed to during that, and I rolled him up in a small package and immediately got up and he clotheslined me. And when he did, he went, "Great job," because I took the initiative to fight back, and that's what a babyface does. To this day, those 2 words he gave me, "Great job," told me that I was listening and I was learning. And I mean, this was over 20-some years ago, and that's still one of the best feelings I had in the ring, just his 2 words, "Great job." I guarantee it's nothing he remembers, but I still remember it to this day. Next on the list, a guy who is one of the top producers, one of the top agents in the WWE now. But when I knew him back in the day, he was probably one of the guys that was running the developmental program along with Les Thatcher when I got there. And I'm talking
Al
about
Snow.
Jamie Noble. Jamie was not happy when I got to HWA. My first week
I remember
in
him.
HWA. And mind you, I had guys that took me in immediately. Not so much with Jamie. Again, I know why. It was our normal training day, like all others. And we were doing just drills. We were, I don't remember 100%, but I know we were just practicing. I think we were doing like, just tagging in, tagging out. Guys would practice getting heat on guys, and guys would practice selling. And came to where I was selling, because I was the ultimate babyface at this time. And Jamie came in, and his aggression was all over his face. Jamie only knew one way to wrestle, and that was hard nose and tough. It was up until that point the first time that I had ever really been kicked hard or punched hard. He was testing me. He was seeing what I was made of. But afterwards, he gave me just a little bit of criticism, but his criticism was on just better ways to sell. Jamie taught me that when you get hit, immediately sell it, register it, and then feed up and offer your opponent another body part that they can immediately work. After that incident, our relationship would change over time. I'm thankful he taught me that much needed lesson very early on in my career. I'm happy he has had such a long stay with the WWE, and he's another one. I hope he's doing well. The last guy on this list is a guy who truly hated me. I mean, the other guys, they didn't like the situation and how I got into the business, and fully understand that. But this guy, I think, just downright, disliked me. The reason he's last, though, is because our relationship completely went 180 degrees. I was able to turn a bad relationship into probably my best relationship in this business.
Devon
Of
Dudley.
course, I am talking about my brother, Devon Dudley. If you read the dirt sheets, if you look on videos, if you read anything, you're going to hear that most guys, if they think of the Dudley Boys, they're going to think of Bubba. Bubba and I always got along great. And to this day, I still get along great with Bubba. And whenever anybody says anything about Bubba, I'm like, that's not the Bubba I know. My issue to start off with the Dudley Boys was with this man, with Devon. And you know what? To be honest, I don't know why he hated me. We're gonna call him and find out. Yo, my brother.
What's up, man?
Yo, why'd you hate me so much?
Cause you were pretty at the time.
I'm gonna tell the story about when you came out of your match at SmackDown. I met you at Gorilla, and what did I tell you?
You were like, great match. I was like, this fucking idiot.
Oh my goodness. And I love you.
I love you too, my brother.
We'll talk soon. All right. Later. Okay, that was fun. All right, but he didn't go into the story of what happened. We've talked about how wrestlers, when they're not wrestling, they are backstage watching that monitor, and they are watching all the other matches, watching all the other promos, trying to tap into, hey, this person does this and it works, and this person,
damn, that shit just fucked me up
when this happens. So that's your job backstage when you're not wrestling. So and I don't know what town it was in, but the Dudley Boys, they go out, they do what they do. They have a 5-star match, and as they're coming back, they come down the steps from Gorilla, and that day it just so happened that the monitor was right at the bottom of the steps. So the Dudley Boys come down, and they had just had a great match, and as they're walking by, I say, yo, Devon, great match. And the look of disgust on his face, he went, didn't thank me, and just walked on. Like literally, just dismissed my comment altogether, as if to say, you have no clue what you're talking about. At this point, you wouldn't know what made a good match if one slapped you across the face. For a couple weeks, I kept my distance, other than a quick handshake to Devon. The way we started turning this relationship, we were in Montreal. Now, when we're in Montreal, there used to be a karaoke bar that all the boys would go to after the show. And it's when I learned that Rock, it was an embarrassment of talent, because not only could he do everything he could do, but he can also sing good. And he would get up there and do karaoke. And once again, I'm so new in the business. I'm standing off in the back, and Devon walked by, and I asked him, "Can I buy you a drink?" He kind of looked at me, he went, and he said 2 words that I still laugh at to this day. He said, "White Zinfandel." Hey, do you? If White Zinfandel is what you drink, do you? But he allowed me to buy him a drink that night, and at that point, we started mending fences. I think what made him and I become good friends is because I talked to him about everything but wrestling. I learned about his family. I learned about his twin boys at the time. I learned about his life in Florida. I learned about his upbringing in New York, and thus he learned about my upbringing. He learned about me. We didn't discuss wrestling at that time. We learned about each other, and we developed a little bit of a friendship. And I would need that friendship to develop when they split the shows up. Raw and SmackDown went their different ways. I found myself needing to ride with someone, and who came to my rescue? Devon. We would just literally become a brotherhood. Like I told you, the night I broke my leg in Calgary, I was riding with Devon, and Devon, he literally stayed the entire night with me in the hospital. Although our relationship started on rocky soil, I'm glad it's on firm foundation now. This is a man I will love for the rest of my life. I love you, brother. Now that we've went over all the guys that hated me in the locker room, the truth is that there's a multitude of reasons you might have heat in a locker room. To find out what those are, click above.
I hope this job's still available.
This video is sponsored by Merrick Health. This is a receipt in real life, while this is a receipt in WWE. So what is a receipt in pro wrestling? Well, sometimes you might hit your opponent a bit too hard. All a receipt is your opponent giving you a little bit of payback, or a lot of payback. During my time in the WWE, I received my fair share of receipts. So this video is going to be ranking them from least painful to the ones I'm still feeling today. My first receipt would come very early in my WWE career. In fact, it was match 1 with Taz, one of the guys who trained me, so I knew him well. So I should have known that when I caught him with a slap to the face, that was probably a little more mustard than I should have put on it. I knew it was coming back to me. And how did I know? Well, Taz had a way of telling me. He kind of patted me, letting me know I was going to get it back. That receipt would come in the form of an open hand slap, and actually would bust my eardrum. The first of 3
Damn, he slapped this nigga so hard.
While in the business. It's a weird feeling. You lose a little bit of hearing for about a week or 2. It doesn't really ring or anything. I would just have to make sure that I placed people on the correct side when they talked, because for a week or so, I couldn't hear them. There are certain guidelines and codes that you know about when you get into this business. One of them is, if you tag somebody, they're gonna tag you back. Sometimes the worst part about it is knowing a receipt is coming and just not knowing when you're gonna get it. Fortunately for me, after I slapped Taz, he didn't make me wait too long. We got backstage, and he made sure I knew, hey, if I was stiff, hey, if I was stiff with you out there, there's a reason. This was Taz following orders. Taz was given specific instructions from the higher ups, from the office, to make the kid earn it, make me pay my dues. And I'm fine with it. Our business, and I've said it a lot, And I know a lot of people don't like this, but our business is not ballet. Our business is not an easy business. And if you're not ready for the physicality that this business has, it's not the business for you. While this was my first receipt, it most definitely would not be my last, and certainly wasn't the most painful receipt. It was an introduction of what my life would become in the WWE. My second receipt would be more in the form of paying dues and would be my fourth televised match. I had my 3 matches with Taz, and a short time after, I found myself in the ring with Hall of Famer, good buddy of mine today, Booker T. And just like Taz, Booker was tasked, Booker was told from the higher ups, help the kid pay his dues. Booker did me a favor the same way Taz did me a favor. Booker is the guy who you're gonna know you were in the ring with him. And it's not because he's dangerous, not at all. Booker's aggressive. I appreciate that. He would help me raise my aggression level. He would help show me, if you want to be at this level, this is how you have to bring it. This is what you have to harness, and this is what you have to bring out of yourself to suspend all the fans' disbelief, to make you think that we're actually in a real fight, to make you think we're actually in a competitive, aggressive style match. Whether it be the first body slam he gave me, or the slap in the middle of the match, or the Alabama slam he finished the match with, I knew I wasn't getting a massage. And even though I left the match a little worse for wear, it would not be the worst receipt or due paying that I would experience. There were way worse to come. Now, my next receipt was a little bit more painful than my previous ones, but it gave me a valuable lesson, a lesson that I would take with me, and actually a lesson that I instill in others to this day. This receipt would come around 2003, about 2 years into my wrestling career, and would come courtesy of Test. I would find myself on a loop in the Pacific Northwest with Test, and during singles competition, I made a mistake that at some point every wrestler makes during their careers, but it's a big no-no, and it's a no-no because it tells everybody watching that what we're doing is predetermined. About midway through the match, we both would find ourselves trying to duck the same clothesline. And if you've ever seen 2 wrestlers trying to duck a clothesline, it looks ridiculous. Once we botched the spot, I immediately made the mistake of trying to go right back to it instead of doing something else, telling all the fans that we botched a move. This is a no-no. This tells everybody that what we're doing is predetermined. Test immediately cuts me off, did exactly what he should have. And in fact, while he cut me off rather hard, and as I'm down, he told me, he gave me the lesson right then and there. If you miss something, don't go back to it immediately. Cut somebody off, grab a hold, do something. Control yourself, gather yourselves, try to go to it later if it's that important. I remember when he cut me off with a very hard clothesline, a harder than normal clothesline from Test. And once we got backstage, he told me exactly why he cut me off a little stiffer than normal. And I thanked him, because I don't think I would ever make that mistake again. At no point did I ever miss or not get a spot right and then immediately try to go back towards it. You try to do something else, do something that gets you to where you need to be, but something that doesn't let the fans know that we messed up. Because trust me, if they see you try to do something, it doesn't go right, and then you immediately try to go do it again, they're gonna be like, they're just calling spots out there. And that's the last thing you want. Even though I learned a valuable lesson from that last receipt, it still hurt. You know what? They all do. I'm still feeling them to this day, which is why I partnered with today's video sponsor, Merrick Health. On a personal note, the older I get, I find I need more information to live a healthier lifestyle. In fact, I wish I had this information in my 20s. So what does Merrick Health offer? The most comprehensive, affordable, and easy to access blood testing available.
Before Merrick, getting hormone and health tests like testosterone or lipid panels meant negotiating with your doctor and hoping that insurance would cover it. But with Merrick, you can easily order these labs yourself and take control of your own health. Merrick Health provides lifestyle interventions, over-the-counter supplements, and prescription treatment options such as testosterone replacement therapy and sexual enhancement.
But what really sold me on Merrick was from my very first call. They personalized every aspect of my journey and ensured me that someone would be with me for every step along the way. I teamed up with Merrick Health to offer a turnkey optimization package designed for those driven to maximize performance and to support longevity with the most elaborative testing available on the market. To get the exact same panel and medical oversight, click the link in the video description, merrickhealth.com/Maven, and use code Maven to save 10% at checkout. So visit Merrick Health and join me in living a longer, healthier life. My next painful receipt was a receipt in its truest form on a live airing of Monday Night Raw. I find myself backstage doing a live interview and rude Batista interrupts me, comes right on my set, and I slap the big fella. And when I say slap, yeah, I slapped him. I knocked the hell out of him. And off to the ring I went. And as I was going to the ring, I remember Dave and I would meet before we went live, and he told me, when you slap me, you're gonna have to bring it. And I would quickly find out that euphoria's potential becomes reality's burden. Because after I slapped him and I make my way out to that ring, then I have to realize I'm in the ring with the animal. I'm in the ring with a guy who is known for aggression. And midway through the match, I would find myself on the outside with the animal. As he threw me up on the ring apron with my back towards the ropes, he would rear back and give me what would be a clothesline, other than the fact that I couldn't take the back bump. And when he hit me, oh, he hits me in the chest, and I literally felt like someone reared back and hit me with a baseball bat. That's how much force this man carried, and that's how much force he brought through that night. But I guarantee you, he put a little bit more on that clothesline, and that's because I brought a little bit extra with that slap earlier in the night. Now, this next receipt, I guarantee you're gonna feel it too. So imagine how it must have felt for me, but rest assured, I had it coming. This receipt comes courtesy of Survivor Series 2004, where I found myself in an 8-man tag team match. The receipt comes towards the end of the match, where an overzealous me gets tagged in against Gene Snitsky. And as I come off the ropes to hit a flying forearm, a move I'd done 100 times before, but never in a main event match during a pay-per-view. So I probably had a little bit more adrenaline than normal. And as I come off the ropes to throw the flying forearm, I crack Gene Snitsky above the eye, breaking his orbital bone. And immediately the blood starts flying. Now, when I hit Gene, it kind of knocked him loopy for a second, and he didn't really know exactly where he was. So I'm thinking I'm off the hook with this chair shot I have coming. Oh no, that would not be the case. With a bloody eye, with a loopy Gene, he somehow, with the help of Edge, would find a chair outside. And as I turned, I walked directly into one of the stiffest chair shots you will ever see. But is it the stiffest chair shot you'll see on this video? It's actually not. Now, the chair shot, it was always planned. He wasn't going off script there. And I still can't get him to admit that he put a little bit extra on it. But I know he did. And He had every right to. I was in the wrong for hitting him with the flying forearm the way I did, and he had every right to deliver the receipt that he gave me. So what does it feel like to get hit with a chair like that? It's actually a combination of it stings and it stuns you at the same time. I remember the moment I get hit, I obviously hear the impact, the concussion around me, but I'm then with my eyes shut and taking in all that impact. Things go quiet, and obviously I'm on my back, and that's called for in the match. And all I remember is just how much my head stings. Now, fortunately, chair shots to the head, wrestlers today don't have to worry about those, but that wasn't the case during my time. And Snitsky took full advantage, but he had every right to. I, again, earned another receipt. Next on my list isn't necessarily as much a receipt as it is properly paying dues. And for anyone that entered the business during my time, if you made it through this, man, you earned your stripes. You earned your respect in the back locker room. I'm, of course, talking about my time working with Bob Holly. Now, what made Bob the perfect person to help a young wrestler pay their dues is the fact that he would bring it every night. Bob does not know the definition of taking a night off, taking a second off in the match. And as much as he's going to bring it to you, the best thing about Bob is he wants you to give it to him.
Hey, Mark Nasty, make some noise for Mark Nasty, girl. The king of ratchet, nigga.
Yeah.
The king of. Are you familiar with Mark Nasty? We're gonna play a Mark Nasty. Wow. Yes, sir. Thank me later, fellas.
Oh, there it is.
Yes, sir.
There it is. Yeah. There it is.
Hold on, wait, what's going on here? I mean, is there beautiful women in the building, man?
It's for the big booty Joes. You know the hoochies, the big bang O's. Get a taste of that honey bun. You know, checking for that money. That money young. You know, I need a little bang. I wanna fuck it up. You know, I need a thick one that's gonna turn me up. You know, I like a ratchet, bougie. You know, I like that. Throw some back, bitch. I bite back. It's getting cracking in this bitch. Get your walk on. It's getting cracking in this bitch. Get your walk on. It's getting cracking in this bitch. Get your walk on. It's getting cracking in this bitch. What a bitch. It's getting cracking in this bitch. Get your walk on. It's getting cracking in this bitch. Get your walk on. It's getting cracking in this bitch. Get your walk on. It's getting cracking in this bitch. What a bitch. Look back at it. Let me wang on. Throw that ass back. Let me bang on. 30 G something. Trying to hit something. You know, wiggling in that whopper. Gotta jumping in this bitch like a chopper. You know, throw something back. I'ma hit her with the D. For the bitches that like bitches that get bitches. The bitches that don't get them. So go get them. You know, 100 bands. Throw that monkey on the floor. She popping it. Baby popping it. Don't stop. When she throw that game back, make her jump on this pocket. Getting cracking in this bitch. Get your walk on.
Hold on. We have
more liquor.
Huh? Yeah.
It's right there. It's right there. Mine got it.
Come on, man.
Here, I'll take you.
All right, man. Keep the super chats coming. Keep the super chats coming. You are now, fellas. Welcome to Ace Boys Worldwide, the greatest club in the world right now. You're in a club right now.
Friday night.
I mean, we have beautiful women in here.
All these beautiful women. Say hello.
We have beautiful women in here.
Also, make sure y'all say hello.
Chachi, what's up, Chachi? We just met you. Can we get
Tati and Tati
on the microphone right there?
Good.
Let people know. What's going on? How you doing?
Hi, I'm Tati. I'm from the IE.
Okay.
IE.
What are you?
Shout out to IE.
They
want to know what are you? What are you?
Oh, I'm
Warlord is in the building! Warlord is in the building. Yes, sir.
What's
Real
up,
Ace Boy shit right now, nigga. It's going crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The Lord is in the building, nigga.
The Warlord. Have a seat, Warlord. Have a seat.
Cuz. Sit down,
Have
man.
a seat, man.
Y'all niggas on 2 minutes.
Have a seat, man. Have a seat, man. You're chilling.
Yeah, man.
This is Blossom. This is Tachi. This is Warlord. Try to shake your head. You can't shake your head.
I was trying
That's
to.
Tati.
That's
That's Tati.
That's all right.
You got the same name?
Yeah, they have the same name and they are both beautiful. Oh, wait, can we get both of y'all stand up just for a second? Tati and Tati.
Tati and Tati.
Look,
It's not a versus.
It's not a versus.
It's a Tati and Tati.
Come on. What? Come on, Tati. No, just Tati and Tati. We want to see you. Both of y'all beautiful.
We just wanna
Tati and
see-
Tati.
Yeah, we want to see the twins.
Yeah,
Come on, Twin Towers.
No. This isn't Yam Cam.
You good? You
It's
good?
not
You
Yam
good?
Cam.
It's crazy. Like,
I'm back.
Please.
Look. It's just Tati and Tati.
Yeah, this is
That's
Tati
all.
and Tati.
Oh shit! Hold on. Wait. Where the button at?
This nigga drunk.
Lean back, lean
Punch.
back,
Put your
lean back,
hand
lean
back.
He cooking all type of
Put your
bugs.
hand back.
Warlord,
Move the
get
fuck out the
out.
way.
Get out.
God
Get
damn
out,
it.
Milwaukee.
Get your ass out the way.
Yeah, get out, Milwaukee. Get beat in Milwaukee.
Get your ass out the way.
Get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out,
Word,
nigga.
kicking niggas out all night, nigga. Just know.
We trying to see Tati
Word,
and Tati.
regulate.
TNT. Oh, TNT.
TNT.
Boom.
Hey, PU.
Huh?
We gotta take a second, man. We got.
Shut your ass up. TNT in the building, nigga. Boom. Nigga, you don't see TNT back there? Blossom. TBT. We got called
Oh,
TBT.
TBT.
That's yeah,
We
TBT.
got 4 beautiful women in here, bro. Pull up.
We know that, but one is.
Mark, we know that already.
No,
Why are you
one
saying
is-
that?
what
One
you
is
doing?
on,
one
bro.
one is one of
Where the fuck
us.
is this spot at? I thought it was
One is one of us, though.
We know that, Mark.
Alright, man. Y'all try to do that to me all the time, man.
You know, but yeah.
Come on, man.
Come
I
on,
like you,
man.
Mark. Hey, Mark Nasty. Make sure
showing
it's
it
Mark
out,
Nasty,
man.
girl.
You doing me right there.
The king of ratchet, nigga.
Yeah.
The king of. Are you familiar with Mark Nasty? We're gonna play a Mark Nasty record.
Let's do
Yes,
it.
Which one?
This
Know You
that
Love?
I know you love.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Mark Nasty. They want to hear it, man. Yeah. Let's do it up for Mark Nasty one time. Beautiful ladies in the building.
Come on, we almost there, y'all. We here.
Fine, she know she mine. This, that, I know you love. She so fine, she know she mine. This, that, I know you love. This. Hold on. She so fine, she know she mine. This, that, I know you love. She so fine, she know she mine. This, that, I know you love. This that dick I know you love. This that dick I know you love. Can I beat it up? 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 This that dick I know you love. Can I beat it up? Can I beat it up? Can I beat it up? Can I beat it up?
Yeah.
Can I beat it up?
Yeah.
This that dick I know you love. She a bad bitch and she know it. Leave out with her knees out. Get she a big bitch and she know I love her. You put it on my face, let me lick it up. Good dick, baby, tell me when you feel the rush. Can you tell me that it's mine? When I hit it from behind, this that dick I know you love. Can I beat it up? 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 This that dick I know you love. Can I beat it up? 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 Hey Ricky, baby, can you feel that peer pressure? Look me in my eyes, but don't let it. Rub 'em on your thighs, can you tell that pussy mine? Ooh, she's so fine and she know that. Lay your head on mine. Let me take my time. Show me that you freaky, baby. I know just what you need. Just take your time. I know you love. Can I beat it up? 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 This that dick I know you love. You love. Beat it up. Can I beat it up? Can I beat it up? Can I beat it up?
That nigga Mark Nasty go hard. I ain't gonna lie.
Give it to me now. Give me now.
Hey.
I know you love. Give it to me now. This that dick I know you love.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Shout out to the beautiful ladies in the building, man. Blossom and Tachi going crazy.
Happy Friday.
We thought the other Tachi was gonna pop up. We didn't know. She was bobbing. She was bobbing. We didn't know she was gonna pop up and do it up too.
Yeah, I didn't think that.
You know what I'm saying? It's all good. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. How y'all feeling, ladies? Y'all good?
We're blessed.
We're blessed. Blessed in the building. We saw Tachi out there fucking the ribs up. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No, they was fire with the work.
On the floor.
That's fire. All right, shout out Kitchen Corner. Shout out Kitchen Corner, best barbecue in the world.
But then again, I was just like,
Fuck it up.
no, y'all gotta know how
It was good.
it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Because they weren't made on the grill, right?
Yeah.
They were?
I just made them in the grill right here. I made them, me personally.
Oh. So who made them grill? Because you the third person to say you made them.
Yeah, I'm Chef Bun. I'm Chef Bun. Nice to meet you.
So everybody's just fine. Okay.
Nice to meet you, Chef Bun.
Thank you for
Don't tell me I'm going the wrong fucking way.
I made it right here on my grill. You know what I mean? Fried.
Yeah. Fried is crazy.
You know what I mean?
I am
Yeah,
on some
shout
high
out,
shit
man.
of the highest
Like,
shit. What the fuck are we doing here?
Huh? Yeah, man. All right, so, hey, ladies, this is Ace Boys Worldwide.
Wait, who has a lighter?
A lighter? Yeah. I don't have a lighter. That's crazy. I don't smoke. I don't smoke, man. You know what I mean? We having a good time. Shout out to the Ace Pit in the building.
I wish I had more, so I
The return of the motherfucking Yam Cam. You best to believe it. The greatest show on earth. Often imitated, but can never be
You better not hit me, you
duplicated.
bitch.
Hello.
You know what I'm saying? Ace Boys Worldwide.
Talk about it.
Shout out to the beautiful ladies. We are doing a live show. We are doing a live show at the El Rey, June 5th, BT Weekend, man. BT Weekend is going down. Make sure y'all pull up. It's going down. We got special guests popping out. It's going to be a motherfucking movie. You know what I mean? Y'all can probably assume some of the guests we have coming, but then we have some bigger guests coming. It's going to be a movie, man. It's going to be a party. Worm will be in the building. Trey will be in the building. We need Blossom and Tachi. Blossom and Tachi. We do it El Rey, June 5th, BT Weekend in LA.
I'm calling off work. I'm in that thing.
Let's go. Be there or be square. Be there or be square. What's that tattoo mean on the arm right there? Oh, okay.
What are you? I never got to that.
I'm Honduran.
Okay.
Honduran? She
I
Honduran?
speak Spanish and all that.
Oh, you speak Spanish?
Dr. Sebi, the one that cured the AIDS and stuff?
Yeah, Dr. Sebi, yeah.
Like, we are, but, like, my theory is, because I have a couple ancestors, like, people in my family that was, my theory is that we the ones that jumped off the boats, like, the whole Honduras, you feel me?
Oh.
And the reason I say that is
We don't want to hear all that shit. Let's see what else we got on the agenda before. Let's do this Rory and Mars.
Like he became like a meme coin. He was just memeing all day, and it was just like meme.
They got me feeling like I'm academics. Can't ride no wave.
All right, let's run through this Dirk shit real quick. So the Dirk second supersede indictment is here. We don't actually have a copy of it. We'll probably get a copy of it in the morning. However, Dirk's team did file what they call they say this is an unopposed request. So it looked like they had, some type of ex parte meeting, right? And by the way, I think it was even said in the docket notes. There was an ex parte meeting. And an ex parte meeting, if you don't know, in court means there's a meeting without the third party. And there's three parties in court. There's the party of the judge, the neutral arbiter. There is the defendant, and then there is the plaintiff, or in criminal cases, the plaintiff is the DA, or in federal cases, actually, it's the AUSA, okay? Which they assist the U.S. attorney who files these from their offices in the districts, whatever. Anyway, the point is this. It looks like Dirk and his team, or his lawyers, talked to the government, who said, hey, we're giving you a superseding indictment. So you trying to get the last indictment thrown out, our new superseding indictment, we're going to give you a copy of it before we present it in court. And we actually took out, which they did, They removed all mention of lyrics, and they're now. I think the superseding indictment is out. I posted part. All right. So this was filed, and it says depend. No. What? Did I email the wrong thing? I did. I must have. Hold on, give me a second. Yeah, I did email the wrong thing. I'm an idiot. Yeah, I'm an idiot. All right, just give me one more second and I'll be able to fetch it. Takes forever for this fucking email to come through. Okay. Here we go. All right. So let me just explain what happened in court. What didn't really happen in court? So this is the AUSA, or the U.S. Attorney actually, which by the way, the last U.S. Attorney, never mind, that's in a Diddy case, I'm tripping. So this is the U.S. Attorney right here, Bilal, and then his assistant attorneys, AUSAs, are these people. And essentially what they said, there's a supplement to the government's opposition to the defendant's application for reconsideration of bail. So essentially what they say, and it comes to this page, on May 1st, 2025, right, which is yesterday, the grand jury returned a second superseded indictment, charging the defendant Banks and his co-conspirators with crimes arising from the August 22 murder of Quando Rondo's friend, Lil Pop, including an additional charge of stalking resulting in death in violation of this statute. Defendant Banks has presented a false narrative that he has been prosecuted and detained because of his violent lyrics. This claim is and always been baseless. The superseding superseding indictment 1 contains no allegations about the defendant's lyrics. Instead, just like every iteration of the indictment before it, the superseding indictment 1 contains significant allegations that show the defendant's alleged role in the execution-style murder of Taekwondo Bowman, which is Quando Rondo's friend Lil Pop, on a busy street corner in Los Angeles. These allegations and other evidence in the court considered during the defendant's blah blah. Okay, cool. So essentially, they said that we got a new superseding indictment. Now we get more information about the superseding indictment here. This is from Dirk's team, and Dirk's team says, hey, they had this ex parte meeting, right, where the government served them with this superseding indictment, and they said, okay, cool, we're gonna need some time to kind of process this. And they agreed in an ex parte communication, because usually one side says one thing, the other side says another thing, and the judge has to rule who they're gonna go in favor for or what the ruling is gonna be. But if the two parties come to an agreement without the judge, which is, as I said, without a party's ex parte, they could say this is going to be an unopposed request. So they're saying the government agrees with them that they're going to need more time to look over this new indictment, right? So that's why they said defendant Dirk Banks' unopposed request for additional time to submit his reply in support of the application for reconsideration of the detention order. Defendant Dirk Banks, through his attorneys, Drew Finland, Marissa Goldberg, Jonathan Braven, and Christy O'Connor, hereby files his unopposed request for a brief extension of time to submit his reply, blah, blah, blah. It says on April 23rd, he got granted a hearing. At the end of the day yesterday, one day before the defendant's reply was due, the government informed the defense counsel through email that they had gone back to the grand jury and re-indicted the case in a second superseding indictment against Banks. Now, chat, let me kind of break that down in layman's terms. The government knew they made a big fuck up. It looked bad. Now, I don't think the judge would have dismissed this case against Dirk because of the fan video or the fan edited video that was used to get the indictment. That's not why. I don't think it would have been dismissed either way. But to cross their T's, dot their I's, remember this is federal court, not state court. This is supposed to be the big leagues. So since they realized they fucked up, they ran back to the grand jury. They had about 2 weeks to do this. They ran back to the grand jury and presented the case again in the sneak, under the quiet. And the grand jury came back and said, we're still indicting him again. So they're using this as the second superseding indictment. The way it works, and clearly by the definition of the word superseding, the indictment that is the last superseding indictment is the only indictment that matters. Okay, so the previous ones do not matter. It says the government provided a copy of the new indictment to the undersigned counsel on today's date. In the second superseding indictment, the government has chosen to. So they're saying the government threw in the towel, saying the lyrics, whatever. It says to remove the allegation regarding Mr. Banks' lyrics, previously attached in, previously included in the first superseding indictment. They removed an allegation regarding payment of bounties. So that's actually important. We didn't know that. So they're saying they removed an allegation that Dirk was going to pay these people, which I'm wondering why they did that. That's the basis of murder for hire.
Because he probably didn't.
He
probably didn't pay the people.
You gotta prove that I plan to pay these people, I promised to pay these people, or I did pay these people. So we're gonna have to figure out about that. And that was previously included in the first superseding indictment, and an additional charge of stalking. So they've given Dirk another charge called stalking, resulting in death. Okay? I'm wondering why give him this charge? Like, the murder charge should be the top charge. Like, why give him this, like, charge that kind of rolls up and kind of deals with murder, but it's not murder, whatever. Anyway, as the court is aware, both from the initial detention hearing and current
just to make the pad it
for a reconsideration of the detention order, the government's allegation regarding Mr. Banks' lyrics have been a hotly contested issue before this court. It appears that the government has conceded this issue, but in the re-indictment of this case raises new factual and legal issues. Based on the above, Mr. Banks respectfully requests that the court gives him a brief extension to file his reply, so he and his counsel could review the new indictment and respond as necessary and appropriate. Mr. Banks requests that he be permitted to file his reply on or before Tuesday, May 6th. And then they sign. Marissa Goldberg does it, she works out of Drew Finland's office. By the way, Christy O'Connor is on it. That's been Dirk's longtime lawyer, and also Jonathan Brayman, who represented him for his gun cases in Chirac back in the day when he was there. Okay, so that's pretty much the update. The government realized they fucked up. They came with a new superseding indictment. They added one little petty charge saying stalking resulted in death. Which here's the thing: all these charges are kind of linked. If Dirk beats the murder for hire charge, he beats the stalking charge. You get what I'm saying? So they just kind of threw in a useless charge, but whatever. So Dirk's team requested a week extension. The government says we got no problem with you doing a week extension because they knew they fucked up when they added the fan video and they came back last minute with a superseding indictment. So it looks like it's gonna take another week for us to know what Dirk's team is going to submit, and then there still is a oral argument about the memorandums or briefs submitted by both teams and the motion, and that's going to be argued in June. So, and I think also bail will be talked about in June as well. So that's the update. I mean, hopefully I can get too much like legalese in there. So, you know, again, layman's terms, government just try to, you know, save their ass. New indictment, which kind of nullifies Dirk saying dismiss this case because they got an indictment through fake, false shit. They're now coming back to say we got a new indictment through real shit, right? So yeah, that's the update on that. The next thing,
Hey guys, Maven here. Now, I was fortunate enough to debut in the WWE before the first ever draft in 2002. Splitting the roster down the middle, half going to SmackDown, half going to Raw. But What were the differences? Who was the locker room leader on Raw? Who was the locker room leader on SmackDown? Who did I ride with on my time on Raw? Who did I ride with when I was in SmackDown? And most importantly, how much money did I make? Was it more in Raw or did I make more in SmackDown? Now I'm going to be answering that and a whole lot more in this video, talking about the differences between the brands, Raw and SmackDown. Now the first WWE draft happened in 2002 and I was actually drafted 10th going to SmackDown. So that's where our journey begins. But this isn't going to cut it. Much better. Now, when I was drafted to SmackDown, the first thing that changed in my world was my schedule. Before the draft would happen, here was our schedule. We would have 2 non-televised events, or house shows, and 2 televised events, Raw and SmackDown. Now, after the draft, we immediately went to 3 non-televised events rather than 2, and then 1 TV taping. Our non-televised events would happen on Saturday, Sunday, and even Monday, competing with Raw's live event. And then on Tuesdays, we would tape SmackDown. We would go home for a few days and then start it all up again the next Saturday. 3 nights of house shows, live events, and then 1 night of taping. Now after those 3 house shows, we would actually tape SmackDown on Tuesday night and it would air on Thursday, so it was not a live show. Now the fact that the show wasn't live made for a completely different culture than the Raw brand. And why is this? Because we could be a little bit looser. If a promo wasn't perfect, if a spot was missed in a match, if something happened, they always had the benefit of editing it. They could edit out stuff. In fact, when I broke my leg wrestling Christian on SmackDown, they edited probably 3 minutes of that match out when it was live to air. One of the first things I noticed about strictly being on the SmackDown brand was, I don't want to say a laissez-faire attitude backstage, but definitely a more relaxed environment. Since the SmackDown roster and the SmackDown culture was a little bit more relaxed, things weren't as stressed as much as they might have been on a live event. You might be able to arrive at the arena a little bit after 1 and have fewer people notice. Not that I would ever do that. The fact that SmackDown was live to tape, meaning tape it Tuesday, air it Thursday, allowed for a multitude of sins that would never be allowed in Raw on a live day. One of the things that probably was true, I'm not 100% certain of, but they probably sent me to SmackDown for that mere fact, for the fact that I was new to the business and the fact that they knew I was still going to make mistakes. So it was a lot easier for them to justify having me on a product that they could edit. And it was a lot easier for them to hide exactly how green I was. So SmackDown at that time was a perfect fit for me. It allowed me the opportunity to make mistakes, to grow from them without completely tanking the show. Now, what was a SmackDown locker room like? Well, obviously, the leader of this and any locker room he's in is The Undertaker. But the other members of that locker room, the other guys on the roster, a lot of times were younger, less established guys, guys that were constantly a little bit worried and fighting for their positioning, guys that maybe had came from WCW, guys that were newer to the business like I was, guys that didn't have a guaranteed spot in the future of the WWE. So each and every week they were scratching and clawing, trying to do anything to make a name for themselves and to prove to the top brass that not only they belonged, but that they could draw money. Now, for me personally, when I was on SmackDown, I hung out and rode with guys like Al Snow, obviously, my trainer. I also rode with Devon Dudley. Devon, once I got his anger towards me flipped around, would become one of my best friends and would become one of my go-to guys, one of the guys that I knew I could trust in any situation, was never going to lead me wrong. And we actually rode together for the entire duration that I was in SmackDown. Guys would jump in the car with us. Mark Henry rode with us a lot. Eki Umaga rode with us as well. Now, The fact that the roster was split, did that change the people in charge? Well, in some cases, yes. In some cases, no. Agents or producers can't be in two places at once. So there was a certain set of producers for Raw and a certain set of producers for SmackDown. But when it came time to the big shows, when it came time to film Raw, the exact same people that were at Raw were at SmackDown at gorilla position. Who do I mean by that? Your Vince McMahon, your Gerald Briscoe, your Pat Patterson, your people that were going to make sure the show was put on to Vince's specifications. It's not like they were missing any of the shows. In fact, Vince was at every show, every live event I can remember. He was the one sitting behind the curtain right there at the top of Gorilla for every show. And Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe were not far behind. What was the pay like on SmackDown? Was it different than it was before? Actually, it was, because think about it. Before, and we've discussed this before, and if you don't remember, go back to my video discussing pay. From that video, I talk about when you're on pay sheets, you make more money depending on the size of the crowd. Obviously, less people are going to come to non-televised events than they are the televised events. So you're having an additional non-televised event show, a house show, which doesn't draw as much money, which means your check's going to be a little bit smaller. And naturally, for whatever reason at this time, SmackDown drew less. It just wasn't as big of a draw that Raw was. So technically, did we make less money? We did. 3 non-televised events and 1 televised event is going to lose every time to 2 house shows and 2 televised events. 100 times out of 100. Now, my time on SmackDown was extremely limited. I was only there a few months due to the fact that I broke my leg. And while I was on the shelf, they decided that when they brought me back, when they debuted me back, they would debut me on Raw. Now we're going to talk about the differences and how Raw was actually a lot better and worse in some ways than SmackDown. But this just isn't going to cut it. Now I feel back at home. Okay, to talk about the difference between Raw and SmackDown, we have to discuss the most important thing. SmackDown was tape, Raw was live. Remember, for SmackDown schedules, we had non-televised events Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and then they taped SmackDown on Tuesday. For Raw, we started our house shows, our non-televised events, a day earlier. So we were on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then we went live on Monday, and I loved that schedule. It just felt natural leaving on a Friday and knowing that for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we were going to be wrestling house shows and then having Raw on Monday. And I think it was just a more seamless fit for the fans. I think fans are used to going to wrestling events on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they knew Raw was going to be Monday, so it was a seamless transition. And whenever something's easy and seamless, people are going to want to do it. When people want to do something, what does that equate to? You got it, more money. During my time on Raw, the money was just better. There's no better way to put it. Raw seemed like it was always a little bit more crowded than SmackDown was. Again, I don't know why, but getting back to the money aspect of it, was it noticeably different? Slightly. I mean, you might make 5 to 10% more just for being on Raw. How did it work during pay-per-views, you might be asking? Well, at the time, they were still, even though we were running 2 different shows, Raw and SmackDown, we would all merge together and seamlessly run 1 pay-per-view. But this was tricky because certain competitors from each brand would be vying for that heavily desired spot on the upcoming pay-per-view because, as we discussed in an earlier video, at the time, and I know it's not like this now, but pay-per-view meant money. I mean, you would make so much more money if you were actually on a show than if you were sitting backstage at the monitor watching the pay-per-view. Trust me, I was on both sides of that equation, and I know I'd like to be in the pay-per-view rather than in my street clothes on the day of the pay-per-view. Now, if you weren't on the pay-per-view, does that mean you didn't get paid? No, of course not. But your pay would be greatly reduced if you weren't on the show. Guys would vie for those positions on the pay-per-view because obviously, you know, you're in this business to try to make as much money as possible, and you're in this business to prolong your career and advance your positioning. The only way to do that is on the biggest stages, and those biggest stages were the pay-per-views. So definitely better to be on the pay-per-view than sitting back and catering, than transferring yourself in front of a monitor for the evening. That does not make for a good way to spend a Sunday. Now, we talked about during my SmackDown days, I rode and hung out with Al Snow, Devon, guys like that. Well, things changed once I got to Raw, and I pretty much immediately started riding with Randy Orton. Randy was literally a guy's guy. He was the top of the food chain in that business, but never acted like it. He was the first one to offer to pay for, you know, gas or a meal or whatever. He was the first one to want to split anything. He never big-timed anyone in any way, and he was truly a joy to ride with. I had some of my best moments in life riding in those cars with him. Now, along with riding with Randy, occasionally other people would, you know, jump in the car with us as well. One of the ones that rode with us frequently was Stacy Keibler. Now, Stacy was always great to have because she kept Randy and I on our toes and out of trouble. She was a lot of times the voice of reason, and she was the one that made sure that whenever we were doing something, it wasn't to the point where we was going to be inhibited from getting to our next location. So I thank you for that, Stacy. Now let's look at the difference between the locker room from SmackDown to Raw. And where SmackDown had guys who were, you know, more up-and-comers, Raw had more established guys like Kane, Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, Triple H, who in essence was the locker room leader. And trust me, Raw had your up-and-comers, your guys who were still trying to make their mark, but most of those guys were over on SmackDown. Once you made it to Raw, you kind of felt like you had your place. And I'll be perfectly honest, for me, I was ecstatic when they moved me over to Raw. I always appreciated and I always enjoyed a live atmosphere better. Things just felt different backstage. Things felt crisper. It felt like a tighter running ship. You could definitely see that more emphasis, more importance was placed on timing, getting things done in their proper time. 1 o'clock call time meant a 1 o'clock call time. A practice for a promo meant you were practicing to get those lines perfect. And if you were planned to be in a specific segment, they weren't going to wait for you. They made sure, because they knew the show had to run on schedule. And trust me, you did not want to be that one person that messed that schedule up. When you're on SmackDown, worst case scenario, if you mess up a line in a promo, you can always retape the thing. Well, if you're on Raw, you do not have that luxury. Once a promo is cut, it is cut. A lot of the segments that you see are known as pre-tapes, and most of the time, a lot of them on Raw are done live so you can hear and get the crowd reaction. But sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're pre-taped. But even still, you're not going to be able to spend forever on them. Most of the time, you're going to get 1, 2, maybe a third take. But the production crew can't spend forever trying to get a simple 30-second pre-tape done. So the pressure was always on to perform. I remember the night that I was the Raw general manager. It was in Indianapolis. And I was involved in, I want to say, probably 10 or 11 segments of that night. That was 10 or 11 more segments than I was normally in. So I had to learn lines. I had to learn staging. I had to learn promos. I had to also have my match with Hunter. I was literally moving and working and prepping the entire day. And that night, at the end of that night, when I got through Gorilla and immediately saw Vince, and he, gave me his approval and told me, amazing job. It meant so much more. Why? Not because it was coming from Vince. Of course, it's great hearing it from Vince, but because it happened on a live show. There was literally no room, zero room for error. And knowing that I was able to perform in a live environment like that, it felt so good. So now we went over both shows, SmackDown and Raw, and we've discussed what the differences are in each. The question is, which one did I prefer being on it? Was it the laid-back, lackadaisical atmosphere of SmackDown, or was it the pressure and the schedule that I preferred on Raw? Well, no mystery here. It was most definitely Raw. Like I said, I just liked the pressure of performing in front of a live audience. Being on a live show, knowing that millions of people were gonna watch you that night. And obviously, if you made a mistake, there was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, no rock you could crawl under. I felt like that brought the best out in me. I felt like that brought the best out in the entire company, because I might be wrong, but I think if you talk to other wrestlers of that time, I think they would tend to say the exact same thing, that the atmosphere at a Raw show was just a little bit different than it was on SmackDown. And knowing those guys being like me, they appreciated the small nuances, the subtle differences of what it took
I feel like
to
we've
put
been
on a
driving
live
forever. We
broadcast
finally
as
here.
opposed to a taped one. Then the pay was better. What do you want me to say? The pay was better. Now, whether it was my time on SmackDown or my time on Raw, steroids definitely played a role. To find out how they factored into my time as a WWE wrestler, click above.
It's not hard to realize that I'm part of a tag team that is considered one of the most decorated tag teams in the history of this business. 24-time World Tag Team Champion. And you know something? I think it's only fitting right now that we take a look at some of those tag teams that we've been in the ring with. Sometimes we had good times, sometimes we had bad times. Sometimes we got along with them, but then sometimes we didn't. I'm gonna let you know who we did break bread with and get along with, and who we just wanted to kick their ass. The Brothers of Destruction, The Undertaker, and Kane. Being in the ring with these guys, it was badass. I mean, two of the biggest guys in WWE at the time, and two of the most over guys in the WWE. When those two hit the ring, the crowd erupted. It was a great feeling. There were times in the ring where me and Kane would be in the ring and you would forget he was Glenn Jacobs. I remember one time I looked over at him and he does the Michael Myers where he just stares and looks at me and then tilts the head. And I look, and Bubba goes, "Devon, go lock up." I go, I can't move. But you know something? Those two guys helped me and Bubba out tremendously. They were there for us, they guided us. I mean, what can I say? I've got nothing but love, respect, and honor for The Undertaker and Kane. Thank you guys for everything that you did for Bubba and I. The Usos. Back during the Attitude Era, their father Rikishi helped me out tremendously, guided me through the whole Reverend Devon, and I never forgot it. It was one of those things where when me and Bubba came back to the WWE in 2015, and we actually started working with them, I told them that the same way their father helped me, I was gonna help them. It was a pleasure and an honor to be with them at our last WrestleMania, to have a match with the Usos, and to lay down for them, because they deserved it. They were the tag team of the future, and we were happy to do that. What they're doing now in the WWE is probably some of the best work they have ever done in their whole career. This whole thing with the bloodline and Roman Reigns is just tremendous. And their little brother, Solo Sikoa, I mean, everything. I mean, they're tearing it up. And I'm very happy to see that and hear that. Jimmy coming into his own, Jay really coming into his own. I'm very happy and honored to say that I got a chance to work with those guys and to help them get to the level that they're at. Not only in-ring talent, but even as a producer. The Usos came to me while I was producing their match one time and asked me, was it okay if they used a 3D? I told them, I said, of course it's okay, why not? We're not using it. The Dudley boys don't use it no more. It would be an honor and a privilege if you did. And then one day I was home after my back surgery, watching one of the pay-per-views, and out of nowhere they hit the 3D. I jumped up because I was happy they hit it perfect. And it was one of those things where I called them right away and said, fucking great job, man. Great job on the 3D. You guys did great. I was like, I couldn't be more proud of you guys. And I know they kept saying, thanks, D-Man. Thank you so much for everything. It was like having a moment with those guys, you know? Too Cool, Grandmaster Sexy, Scotty 2 Hotty, and Rikishi. You know, next to the Dudleys being a 3-man tag, Too Cool was right there with them. Rikishi with that big Samoan ass, doing his stink face, doing what he did. Unfortunately, I had to take the stink face a couple of times. I'm not gonna go into detail, okay? Didn't like it, didn't want it, but I did it for the money. One of the greatest moments I think I had with them was when they asked us to dance with them in the middle of the ring. You can catch that on YouTube as well, the Dudleys and Too Cool dancing together. It was really a great time. And here's the rib. It's an old dance that they do. It's called the bus stop. And they basically go from side to side, then go forward, then back, and then switch over, and then do the same thing again. Well, I remember going out there, right before I went out there, I asked Grandmaster Sexy, I said, which way do I go? To my left or to my right first? He goes, go to your left, go to your left. And sure enough, the music hit, Rikishi goes down, Rikishi goes 1, 2, 3. I go to my left and I bump into Scotty 2 Hotty. I go, son of a bitch. I had to go back in the frame. It was difficult. I remember going in the back going, I'm gonna kill you. I'm going to murder you. Why would you tell me to go left? He's laughing his ass off. He goes, I told you to go right. I go, no you didn't. You knew you didn't, Brian. Why would you tell me on national TV to go the wrong way? And of course I got ribbed in the back, you know, by all the boys. You know, you messed up. You could have messed up everything. And the wrong person to see it is Bradshaw. When Bradshaw saw it, forget about it. He didn't let me down. He let me hear that for the next 6 months that I went the wrong way in doing that move. All because Brian, Grandmaster Sexy, told me to go the wrong way. But, you know, again, love those guys, and it was an honor and a pleasure. James Storm and Bobby Roode, beer money. You know, one of the greatest things about working with these guys is that they would bring beer to the ring. So whenever I get thrown out on the outside of the ring, I would go to where they left their beer and just guzzle it down. So I was having a beer before the match was even over. A lot of times I was drunk as hell before the match was over, but we won't tell nobody. But these guys were great. I loved Bobby Roode. I thought he was a mixture of Triple H and Mr. Perfect combined into one. And James Storm was just some crazy cowboy that loved to fight. Put those two together and you're gonna have a fight on your hands. They helped us just as much as we helped them. And I will say that those two together were money. APA, Bradshaw, and Farouk. So I firmly believe that Vince had the APA test us, because when the Public Enemy came in, and the Public Enemy being from ECW, and the way they left, they were gonna make sure that the Dudley Boys weren't the Public Enemy. So I believe they might have gave Ron and John the Iggy to go ahead and give it to us. And they did. We did a promo cutting it on APA while they were waiting in the background to come and just beat the living holy hell out of us. And that's exactly what they did. But you know something, at the end of the day, we got up and we said thank you, because that ass kicking proved that the Dudley Boys were no joke, and that we were coming to the WWE to make a name for ourselves and to fit into the family. One of our finest memories was when I got the name Devin as opposed to Devon from Farouk. I walked into the locker room, him and I was gonna have a singles match, and I said, Mr. Farouk, how you doing? I'm Devon. Hello, Devin. I said, it's Devon, sir. That's what I said, Devin. From that point on, my name was Devin, because I wasn't messing with him. Farouk was a legit badass, an ass kicker. But you know what? In all fairness, those guys gave us such great advice over the years and helped us in our career. I have nothing but love for APA, and they had nothing but love for us. They didn't kill us. But in all hindsight, I love these guys. Again, a great tag team that we were able to work with, and someone we can call our brothers. The New Day. These are my boys, love them to death. I do remember the night that Bubba and I came back. When that pyro hit and people found out it was the Dudleys, they went crazy. And New Day's reaction was priceless. And us coming down there and doing what we did to them, it was definitely a strong introduction for the Dudleys
y'all.
to
I appreciate
return
y'all for
back to
watching.
the
I'll be back.
WWE and take over where we left off. Working with the New Day
Big J Play.
really
Tap
made
in.
the Dudleys feel like
Make sure I
we
hit that
still
like
had
button,
it.
that subscribe
We were
button,
the
that share
veterans now.
button.
We were considered
Another fire stream. It ain't working. Well, I'll be back later.